harassed your family. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay. And at some point and when I say harassed, I'm characterizing it in that way for a reason because that's how it was presented to me. Did you believe that what the police were doing was part of a legitimate police operation, or did you think that they were behaving unprofessionally when they contacted you?
Some part was professional, some part I thought was way up there. I understand some of the way these people were talking about stuff.
Okay. So some of the things they did was professional, but other things that you felt were not professionally handled?
Well, they went to my house. Do you want me to start from the beginning when they came in?
Yes, but let me just go over a few key points that were made to me, and then I'll allow you to elaborate.
Yes.
The thing actually, hold 1 second. Let me just say what I was told, and you can correct me or change it. I was told that during the course of a search of your home, that things were damaged deliberately, that your children's items were seized improperly without any relation to this investigation, and that you were actually confronted and insulted by an officer who made some disparaging remarks about your husband. Did those things happen?
One thing, yes. One thing that is not true is they did not damage anything because I told them I have the keys to this one filing cabinet, and so if you need anything, please ask me. Don't break anything.
Okay.
And they didn't break anything, but they took my newborn screening test. They took my children's iPads, iPod. I mean, I don't know what is that.
How old are your children, and what do you know of their role in the murder investigation, if any?
We didn't even know about all this, and then this guy is telling me, he comes in, Steve Jacobson, your house is being searched in relation to a homicide of Corey Kaufman. And I was like, really? What do we have to do with that? And then he said, oh, it's come to, we were told that your husband and my brother-in-law and Frank Carson are involved in it. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But they went on to search. There were like almost 2 people in each room. And this guy was shadowing me. Even if I moved to left, right, he was like right by my shoulder, overlooking me. And they just took, I don't even know what is so important to them. I mean, computer, laptop, they're all broken. And they took all of that. And my phone, they took my phone too. And then I had just renewed my contract with the phone company. They sent me an upgrade because my daughter breaks the phone, so I thought I have a backup, but they took that too.
They took all of your personal phones?
Everything. They took our computer, they took the laptop, they took the iPad, they took a broken iPod. There was like a old iPhone that I was collecting because my daughter plays with all that. So I thought maybe once I can have 3 or 4 things together. They told me the repair people, they'll give me a discount. So I was collecting them so I could go because it's not cheap to repair them. And they were not under warranty. So I was saving them so she could play with those things. She's a special needs child. My son is 8. My daughter is 7. She was 6 at that time. And my newborn is 7 months. She was about 5 months old that time. So I don't know what they need. My children's newborn screen test, I don't know what is that got to do with anything.
Let me ask you a few questions.
I thought that was violation.
Let me ask you a few questions to make sure I understand what you're telling me. So you have an 8-year-old son, and how old is your daughter?
She is 7 now. She's a special needs child.
She's a special needs child. And they took her computer?
They took her iPad.
They took her iPad. Can I ask you a few questions? What is on your special needs daughter's iPad that would be of interest to the police, if you know?
I don't know. They didn't go through it. They just took everything. And you know what? I wasn't even home when they seized all that. When I'm telling you the whole sequence of events, I will tell you why I wasn't home. And what they took from my house, I got to know from a piece of paper they left for me.
Was anybody home? Was anybody home when they came there that time to take the things?
When when we were home when they came, but none of us were home when they left.
Okay. So they kept taking things, and when they finally finished, they left you a list.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask a few more questions, and I am going to let you tell me the whole story, but I want to get a few key points out of the way because I have notes in front of me I'm taking. And I have notes that I've already taken I want to clear up. So let me be clear on this, because one of the main complaints against Kirk Bunch and the other officers is that they have targeted people who have absolutely nothing to do with this as a means of really putting pressure on your husband and your brother-in-law. And one of the things that adds support to that perspective is what you're telling me right now, which is they target a special needs child. I'm just trying to get my head around that. What could your special needs child have had on the computer that would relate to a homicide of someone? Have you ever met Corey Kaufman?
Did I what?
Have you ever met the person who died,
No,
Corey
I didn't
Kaufman?
even know who this person is. And I had no clue what they were talking about until, like, who is this guy? I don't know. I have never met, I haven't even heard about this guy before.
And if you don't mind my asking, what is your age?
I'm 38.
You're 38 years old. You're a wife, and you've had no contact with the murder victim, Corey Kaufman, ever.
No.
Okay, and I'm just going to do this. I know it sounds silly, but maybe I can clear something up for the Stanislaus County DA's office that they're not able to get to. So I'm going to ask you questions. I'm an investigator, and I've worked on a major crimes unit with the LA County Sheriff's Office. So I'm going to ask you right now the kind of questions I would ask in an interview if I thought you were a murder suspect. So let's just go through it. Did you ever meet, speak with, communicate in any way with Corey Kaufman, who is a homicide victim?
No.
Do you have any information that would indicate that your children, your 8-year-old and your 7-year-old and your infant, had anything to do with Corey Kaufman?
No.
Have you ever visited the Kaufman family or gone by their home or even seen their home?
No.
Have the police ever provided you with any tangible evidence showing a link between you and Mr. Kaufman?
No.
So pretty much this entire investigation is based on their belief that your husband is involved in something, and to get to your husband and his brother and the attorney Carson, they have taken the iPad of a special needs child, an 8-year-old boy, and an infant. Am I correct? Okay. And in doing so, they've come to your home, they've taken these items, and how long have they kept these items?
I haven't seen them. My son keeps asking me, when are we getting back? When are we getting back? And my child doesn't have any of that, and she plays with my phone that I bought, the Go phone that I bought, and, you know, she needs to be distracted, and she needs to use some of this stuff that occupies her, and we have nothing to give her anymore, and, you know, it's I don't know what they want. I mean, I don't know, if you want something out of it, you would have probably gotten out of it. I don't know what you're going to do with the...
So they're
I have pictures on it that are my whole life pictures on it, and my newborn pictures on it. I'm scared that will I ever get them back.
So your phones that you had contained family photographs and baby pictures, and they took those and they have not given them back for, just give me a rough estimate, how many months?
Since March 3rd, they haven't returned any of our stuff.
Okay. All right, let me do this. I'm going to allow you to just tell me everything, but I do have one more question I want to ask. I was told by an investigative reporter working for PoliceViews.com that you had some things said directly to you by officers from either the DA's office or the police department, and I'm very alarmed by what I was told, because this is not part of any proper investigation. I was told that an officer said to you that your husband was having an affair and that's why they were raiding your house. Is that true?
They told me during the course of the raid that my husband is seeing prostitutes and having seeing other women, and I told him, I do not believe you. but if you have proof, give it to me, give me a call, and I will divorce him. And he said that'll be a very difficult call to make. This was told to me by Steve Jacobson.
Steve Jacobson. And is he one of the officers identified in any of the photographs that you guys have given me that are on the website now?
I haven't seen all of them, but the 2 or 3 pictures that I've seen, he's not one of those guys. He's a thinner, taller guy.
Okay,
I haven't seen him in pictures.
Steve Jacobson. All right, and he told you your husband was seeing prostitutes?
Yes.
Okay, who does Jacobson work for, if you know?
It's for DA's office.
So Steve Jacobson works for Birgit Flatiger from the DA's office?
Yes, he said he's a detective.
Okay, and while at your home, when you were inquiring about the reason for the search, he told you they were there because your husband was seeing prostitutes?
He didn't say, when they told me they are in the house to search for anything related to the homicide.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't ask me anything about the homicide. All they were asking me was about his, he told me about my husband's prostitute link, and then they started asking me about Indian culture, and then he started asking me about his back. Does he have a back problem? For how long? I mean, for the majority of the time, they were just asking me about his back problem, how long he's got hurt, how long is that. I wasn't very, for me, you come in my house with 50 people with guns and everything, and you're asking me all these questions that are not even related. I don't know how they're related to homicide, but then I fail to understand. You come here, you talk about all these things. How is that related to a homicide investigation? I don't know. I may be a naive person, but I want to know, how is that related to a homicide? You come at 50 people. Obviously, you're spending a lot of money, and you're doing all this. It's not a normal course of things in a normal person's life. You're doing all that. But you tell me, what is this related to do with the homicide thing?
I got it. Well, I have the same questions, which is why I'm approaching it in this way. I don't think that there's any justification for the seizure of your children's property or some of the other victims. There's a 13 and 14-year-old girl, 2 of them, who had their phones taken away. And what could their phones contain that you haven't been able to get by now is my question. But I wanted to establish that in the course of doing this search that improper comments were made. So let me come back to it and nail this down and make sure I understand you. Regardless of how it started, I'm asking you, did that officer tell you at some point that your husband was seeing prostitutes?
Yes.
Okay. And there, in your knowledge of your husband's activities, is there any reason for them to make such a statement, other than to offend? Other than to offend? Because I don't.
It was offensive because my husband is not like that. Why would he do that? I don't understand why they were bringing that up to me.
Well, I'm
bringing that up to me. Show me the proof.
I'm going to tell you why I believe that they did it, because I believe it's consistent with everything else that they've done. I believe that they're using their police powers to exact punishments upon you, though you have not been convicted of any crime. And I think that they're doing that with multiple victims, and we're going to get a stop to this at some point. Right now, they're still running loose, but what you gave me is a gold nugget, because I'm going to tell you right now, whatever justifications they have, even if they have a court order to do what they're doing, to go in your house, it doesn't allow for unprofessional conduct to the extent an officer would tell you that your husband was seeing prostitutes. So we're going to try to get him on the phone, and we're going to try to send an investigator back out there to ask him in person if he's wandering around one of your businesses. Maybe we can nail him down and ask him why he said that. But I want to make sure I have the right officer. What is his name, and give me his description? You said he worked for the Stanislaus County DA office. His name is Jacobson. Give me his exact description, because we're looking for him now. Can you describe him?
He is a tall, I think he's over 6 foot. He's not heavy set, and I wouldn't say he's thin either.
Mm-hmm.
I would say Caucasian, the darker blondish hair.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He had little longer hair above the ears.
Is there anything else that he did other than that statement that got your attention that you thought was improper?
I thought he was, and then my husband called at after 10:30. He said he's in a hospital and he needs a ride, so come and pick me up. And I turned around and I asked these guys. I said, "You knew he was in an accident. You guys never thought it was important for me to know?" And he didn't even answer.
Well, I should clarify what you're talking about. After they arrested your husband, the officer was driving recklessly and crashed the car, and your husband was injured, correct?
Yes. His back was hurt, and they took him from our house in his boxers on a foggy, cold morning, bare feet, with if handcuffed him. It was so important. You come to my house with 50 people, handcuff my husband, bare feet. You don't even allow a grown man to wear clothes. It's so important. And then you just tell him to find a ride.
So but that goes to the other part of the story. They released him after they had a car wreck with him, and they released him without.
How can you do that? Take him. Why did you leave him if you are wrecking our life like that? It is so important. Why did these guys leave? Why didn't they keep him?
I have the same question. Let me ask you to do this at this point. Can you give me a kind of a summary of the events as you understand them? Now you can tell me your story in your own words. Let's take about 5 minutes just to summarize what you experienced, how you learned about this, and give me the impact that it's had on your life, because when we notify other public officials, we want to make them aware of the damages, because I think there's a substantial amount of liability in terms of what you guys have been through. So walk me through what has happened to you, what's happened to your life after you were accused of being involved in this homicide.
It was about 7 in the morning. I heard this muffled sound. My kids are up there running around in the house, and my daughter is in the room, and my son and daughter are running around. My daughter is always like up and down, up and down. And I heard this muffled sound. So I kind of just I went to open the door and see what is this weird sound kind of thing. And I opened the door, and my kids are running after me, and they're with me. And there's this like SWAT team, that barricaded, they have these things in front of them, and they're all helmets and everything, and they say, "Put your hands up in the air." And I'm like, what the hell? We're not even wearing any slippers or anything. So I put my hands up in the air. My kids put their hands up in the air. And they say, "You step aside." They have guns pointed at my kids and me. And I'm like, "I have a baby inside." And one of the officers, the SWAT team guy said, "Oh, you have a baby? You have a baby inside?" I said, "Yes, I have a little baby inside." And they take my children on the side, and they told me to go get my child, my baby. And then my husband, in the meantime, comes down. And they have his hands up in the air, and they have him on the side, and he's bare feet, and he's all compliant and everything. They put handcuffs on him. I bring my baby out, and they say, "Show your baby." So I show my baby around, and then they take us to the ambulance. And from the ambulance, I see that my husband they're talking to him, and then they put him in the car, and then I don't know what is happening after that. But my son, my daughter, they started crying. "What is happening? What is happening?" And I said, I don't know what is happening, but I'm sure we'll find out what is happening. And around 8 o'clock, they get us back in the house. And I told them, I said, "I need to leave my kids to school." And thank God my neighbors called. They said, "What's going on?" And I asked them if they would take my kids to school. And I went to drop my kids to my neighbor's house, and Steve Jacobson followed me to their house, and they dropped and then when I came back, he said, "Do you know why we're here?" I said, I have no idea why you guys are here. I said, "This was in relation to a homicide investigation for Corey Kaufman." And I said, "Okay." And then they go on from there, and then he started asking me about, well, what is your Indian culture like? What is this? And then he said, "Oh, do you know that your husband is seeing prostitutes?" I said, "Are you telling me or are you asking me?" He said, "I'm telling you." I said, "Well, I don't believe you. If you have proof, you give me that call and I'll divorce him." And he said, "That'll be a very difficult call to make." And I said, No, you call me when you have proof." And then they started focusing on his back. His back is. I said his sciatic nerve is hurt, giving him a problem, but his back is not giving him a problem. And they kept asking me how long old injury, if there is any. I was like, I didn't even dare to ask them.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you a question. They were asking you about his back. had they already taken him out of the house?
Yeah. This is after.
Okay, so let me ask you this.
According to my
hold on.
I think that yes.
So hold on. So they may have already had the traffic accident, and then they started asking you, did he already have a back problem?
Yeah, because according to the what I was told, the accident happened around 7:45 or something. We were let back in the house around 8 o'clock.
Well, he's obviously if he was doing what I think he was doing, he was trying to generate evidence for himself and for the other officers. So if your husband is involved in a traffic collision because a police officer is driving recklessly, and at the end of that collision, your husband is taken to the hospital and he says his back hurts, that officer is trying to establish through you that your husband already had a back problem. Am I correct?
I think so. That's what they were trying to tell me. And they kept asking me, so he has a back injury. I said his sciatic nerve is hurting him, so he can't really sit down or anything.
Well, the reason I'm saying this is, what reason during a criminal investigation would you have to bring up the suspect's back? I've never asked a wife of a suspect I arrested, how's his back?
See, that's my question to you. If this is a homicide investigation, you ask questions about homicide investigation. What does this have to do with... I'm not your tea-party friend that you come over and say, how's your health, how's everything? I don't understand this. It's a big thing, Our life is ruined because of this. Every time an ambulance goes, every time I hear a car, I run to the door to see, hey, I hope nobody's at my door, because I hope they don't break my door and my kids don't get scared. My kids could not sleep at night. Are they coming tonight? Are they coming in the morning? It's not a normal life for us.
So you guys are basically living on edge because of what they did and what they took from your home and the security that they violated.
Yes, it is not normal for us anymore. It's even if I see a car going, I'm like, what are they doing? Are they coming to my house? What is happening?
Hey, I listen. You have every reason to be upset. I feel
my kids are scared.
I feel every tear you're dropping right now, and I want you to know I care about you. I've never met you.
My son is so upset about it. Sometimes he talks about it. I let him talk, and he sometimes asks him to write about it. I don't want to write anything. And he completely gets upset. Why are they not giving us things back? Because they're children. They want their things back. I said, I don't know. But how do we know? How will we know? When we know? Why are they doing this? I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Take your time. You have every reason to just work through this, and
then Steve Jacobson left after that, and then there's another detective who came, Mike somebody, I forgot his last name, and then he made me sign a waiver because I have where I keep my wedding gold and everything in a locker. I offered them. I said, you can see it. I don't want you to come into my house again trying to, hey, we want to look at that. I said, I'm offering you to come to the bank with me and look at my safety deposit so that you guys don't have to come again to search my house ever again. And he's made me sign a waiver. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to wait because these guys are still at my house. I can't leave. And you know what he told me? He said, my officers are very honest. Even if they take a small paper, they will write what they're taking.
Okay.
So they took all that. All I know what they took from it is on a piece of paper that they wrote, hoping that they are honest people. I don't know what all. I don't even want to touch the things they've touched because for days my closet was like that. I didn't want to touch anything. I'm like, and anyways, they took my old Indian passport that was expired from 7-8 years ago. They took that. I don't know what they have to do with my Indian passport.
I understand. Okay, listen, I'm going to talk with you again, and I can't say any more than I care about what happened to you, and I'm going to do my best to get it stopped. And your interview is critical because I believe that things that they did to you, they won't be able to explain, and I'm going to make sure that they're going to have to explain those things. So give your husband my best, talk to your sister-in-law IQ and let her know that we spoke, and let her know I'm going to be calling her in a few minutes. Let me just stop the interview there.